So I'm outside in my backyard. First time out on a nice sunny day in my backyard. Let me show you what I got accomplished today. It's not a lot, but it's a step in the right direction. So I'm going to show you. I had this hose that I didn't think was long enough, and turns out it is. Let's check out my weird water setup. So my water, this is my house. That's the neighbor's house. My water hooks up there on the side of his shed. And I wasn't sure this hose was going to make it, so I brought it here and kind of made sure it would come all the way. So we have to go all the way around my house and all the way here, and kind of hard to see with the glare, but this is where the hose was sitting. Well, actually it was sitting over there. I'm winding it up right here, and I want to put a garden in there. So this will be the start of a video on my new garden in my new home, my new mobile home. So we're going to see what we can make of this little area here into some sort of garden. I don't think I'm going to plant directly into the ground. There's gophers and things around here, and that just won't work. But I am going to start a container garden and put it up on something. So stay tuned to see what I'm doing. So we're coming in my messy shed. Whew. Which is very musty. So I have a feeling this shed is going to be really hot in the summer. I'll probably be keeping the door open as much as I can. It smells horrible in here. We're supposed to be a vent right here, but I don't think it's quite enough to let all of this stagnant air out. So I think I'm going to see if, I don't know if I'm allowed to do anything to open it up. So I'm probably going to have to get a fan or two to stick in here for some circulation. So this might look like a collection of old recyclable bottles, but wait and watch what I turn those into. It's a very creative project I have for those. And here's my compost that I'm starting, and I have a plan on how to make container gardens. And I think I'm going to use this shelf to go underneath the containers. So it means I have to take off all this stuff and find new homes for it and take this out. But I don't think I want to do that yet because the weather's not nice enough to do it yet, but I got the idea down, and yeah, so this is all going to be for composting, because these boxes come from Thrive and they are made sustainably, so the ink and the packaging is all biodegradable. So I'll be using those as part of my planting and composting, and wait to see what I make out of those. And the previous owner left me all of this. That's an empty can. I just pulled it out. My mom taught me that if a paint can dries out, you can pull the paint out. It's just like plastic. There's a little bit left right there. I can show you. It literally will peel out like plastic. Like it. Because really that's what it is. It's this exterior acrylic. So it really turns into dry latex. So I am going to do something with these. Again, I'm not going to tell you. I have a project. So as this video progresses, you have to follow it to see what I do. Okay, so hopefully that turned properly. Sometimes my phone doesn't turn correctly. So I clean that off. And here is that shelf. I move stuff there and over there. And I put some of the stuff into the drawers because that's what they're for. And this can go out to the garden. And I decided I think I will. Actually, what I want to do is I think I'll paint it with that latex paint. So that's a project for another day. So I'm just going to put it here to remind me that that's what I want to do. So back to the house. The doggies really want to go back inside, and I have to go potty. So I'm going to go back inside too, but I'm going to bring my chair up just in case it wants to start raining. And just back up. Sorry, Cersei. So there's my little outdoor sitting area that I like to have. And then when I'm not out here, I kind of fold up the chair so that when I want to get in and out of the steps here, I can. So it just kind of lives right there. Back inside. Okay, folks, so here it is. I am starting a new project. I know it looks a bit crazy, like what the heck is she doing with all these random things, but Pawsom Fun and Frugal. I needed to come up with a way to not spend money on flower pots, and I'm trying to do some planting, and I'll show you my seedlings that are starting. And so my daughter's sister-in-law is worried about this plant, and I already know what's wrong with it. It's just root bound. She's got like 4 plants in one pot, and they're not happy anymore. They've been in this pot too long. So I want to make a pot that she can put this in that's bigger. She can always get something nicer later, but I'm going to repot it into something for her. And then the same person gifted me this as a housewarming gift, and it is having the same problem. It's too big for the pot. So, and I have some seedlings. They're growing right there. Yeah, they are. So we are going to have to make some pots for them. So the crazy mess I was just showing you is something I'm going to DIY, my own pots, planters. So this is an empty paint can. I'm going to drill holes in it, and I'm going to paint it, and then turn it into one of the pots for one of those plants. And what I'm doing is recycling containers. You can see this is an old bleach container. That's going to go upside down. So I'm going to make it, drill a hole so it can drain. It can actually not drain, well, yeah, drain and re-water. So this is going to be a self-watering pot. I think it's not quite big enough for the other plant, but I have some other containers I'm going to also, I thought I was going to try it with just covering with duct tape, because I didn't want it to be like funky looking, you know, laundry soap containers. But you can see this duct tape is like, you can still see through it. So I would need like 2 or 3 layers, and it was complicated to do it. So I'm just going to paint right over the duct tape now. Not right now, but when I get to this one. I don't have a lot of space. I was trying to think of a way to dry them, and I think I came up with an idea. So hold on. Just hold on a minute. So there is the first one drying there. So I should be able to get a couple of them, a couple more up here. And also, I'm being frugal. I don't have any paint brushes. Let me move this a little bit. Jacket's in the way. I don't have any paint brushes, so I have some old sponges. I was going to throw them away or use them for cleaning in the outside or something, but I'm going to sponge paint, so that's what I'm going to do with them. So I think first I'll go ahead and drill the hole in here. Got my handy dandy drill, and I've got in here and some drill bits. I'll put it in my drill bits. Gotta go find my drill bits. I couldn't find my drill bits, but I have a backup. So a self-tapping screw. Drill it in, drill it, take it out. And drill about 4 holes in here. There, I drilled the holes. So we have, hard to see them, but there's 1, 2, 3, 4 holes. Now I'm going to paint it. I got to put my other glove on, back on. Trying to be frugal and use the same gloves over and over. And paint. And dip it in the bucket. I could make sure the lid doesn't drip. And okay, so then we're just going to, this already has some paint on it, so we're just going to kind of squish it on there Ah, I'm making a mess. I'm not staying on my paper. Take the stuff off the lid so it doesn't drip down and get wasted, so that it's being frugal. You see how it just drips down onto the paper there. Rather than letting that get wasted, try to use it. And I think eventually this label will peel off. I may have to repaint them, but I'm not worried about it. They're going to go outside. Eventually they'll get dirty and old and rusty anyway. I mean, these are like plastic now. Worst case scenario is I gotta take it off. Sometimes maybe the paint will act as a glue. And that's why I'm wearing my lounge around the house clothes, because I don't really care if I get paint on them. It's an artist thing. A lot of our clothes end up covered in paint. We learn the hard way, not wear nice things when you're trying to create something. There's another one with a coat, and I'll do another coat on it later. And let that one dry. We're going to go ahead and see if we can cover this up. Trying to push the paint into the folds of the tape. Hopefully it can act like an adhesive. There's the first coat on that one. Trying to get up to the top. Alright, this one goes over to dry. Now we gotta work on this one. So you can see how this is gonna work. So I'm gonna plant in here, and it can go in here. And it can keep water in the bottom, so I don't have to continually water them. So they'll be self-watering planters. So we'll get the bottom painted. I'm hoping this will give it like a stone planter kind of look. So this piece is ready to go over where the drying rack is. And now to do the top piece. Don't really have to, on the bleach one I went all the way up, but I don't really have to because it's going to be sitting inside the other piece. So I don't have to worry about painting all of that. I've been trying to get this completed for quite a while, but my carpal tunnel keeps acting up. So a couple weeks ago, it was my right hand, and then this past week, my left hand went out, and it's still recovering. Both of them are really. And they just do that. They randomly just flare up, and I don't have use of my hand, whichever one's flared up. So it'll be down inside the other piece. There, that's ready to go on the drying rack. And now I have to clean myself up. So in order to reuse the sponge again, I put it in a plastic bag. That'll keep it from drying out. And I gotta close up the paint. Okay, And I'm just going to leave all this stuff here for the second coat. I just roll these like that, pull them off. I don't mind if the gloves dry out a little bit, that's fine. So, save my gloves. So yeah, you can see I have to change my bandage, but this is KT tape. I also had a cut that I had to take care of. See you on the next coat of paint. You'll see I moved the drying rack into the bathroom because I realized that that's how much space I have, and if I'm walking by here, I was going to run right into those things and have a big mess. So this is where they are drying now, is in my bathroom. I just very carefully slid this whole thing in here so these can just dry out the way they are. So we'll be back for the second coat and follow along as I put plants in here. And today's one of those days I'm doing lots of things, so I pulled some compost out of that, I want to move outside. But first I have another project to do before I can do that. I gotta do way more organizing in here and set this up for spring and summer. So I have gathered up some compost and I gathered up a little bit of soil to get started on my replanting. And this is a project. I'm going to paint this so that I can put it over there in that garden. That should raise up my planters off the ground. Okay, so I finished the first of the painting on here. This is the first coat on these sections, and I'm going to flip it over when it dries. I got the top, and I got all these sides, but then I have to flip it over and get the other sides in the back and do another coat. I'll probably just do a second coat on here the way it is, and then flip it all over and do all of the rest another time. So that's it for right now. We're gonna go take a break, let this dry, and come back. And there's Benji. Seriously. Okay, so now I'm working on planting. So I'm gonna try something else I saw on YouTube. I went ahead and I cut this in half. So this is one of these bottles cut in half. I poked a couple holes in the cap there, and that can sit right down in there and be a self-watering plant greenhouse thing. So there, I went ahead and put it all together. I used a can of compost from outside, some kitchen scraps. I already threw the bag away, and then some more recent kitchen scraps and some soil. And I put two, so I have these are all apples. Most of them are sprouting, not all of them. So I'm gonna take the ones that are sprouting and transfer them into pots like this, or into those once they're dry. And you can see how it's gonna be a self-watering. So Just pour the water in like this, and it will drain down into the bottom. There's already some liquid from the compost in there, from my old coffee grinds. It's not quite full enough to drip down yet, but it should start. Then I just take old plastic bags and make sort of a greenhouse effect over the top, and it'll help keep critters out and let the sun in, and we'll put this outside. Okay, we're gonna go put it down. That's gonna be there temporarily until we get the shelf up. I'll go push this one over here. And see how that does. Okay, so I had to go charge my phone, so I didn't get to film my process, but I'm going to take you outside. I'll show you right now. Okay, so I've cleaned up the planting, the area I was working. There's still a little paint and stuff I have to clean up, but I'm done with making my homemade planter pots. They are outside doing their job. I will show you. Stay, Cersei. Zinji and Cersei, they were outside the whole time I was making, working on my project. Now they want to go back out because they know that every time they go out and go potty and come in, they get something special. But they already did, so they can stay. So you may be starting to see it already. So the thing I was painting is there no more. There is the shelf that I painted, and there are the plants that I have planted. All those little seedlings, well, not all of them. I took the best looking ones, planted as many as I can, but almost all of them, I think all of them are apples. I think there's one or two that might be oranges. I lost track of what they were. So we'll find out as they grow. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then these two little ones will drain out on their own. These ones are all self-watering, so I only will have to water the two little ones. And I brought my compost out here, so that's handy for me. And this is a table that is technically for dog baths. It's a grooming table. I don't have the thing on it right now, it's in the shed. So I've used this as my work table. So it's going to have two purposes: my outdoor work table for gardening and for cleaning the dogs, taking care of the dogs. So there'll be videos on that later on. So there is my first experiment with gardening in my new mobile home. We're outside now. I'm having a rough day because my neck is still kind of out, but I was doing what I could. But that is what I am working on, and we will keep track of the progress on that. And Cersei's here trying to be... Cersei, can you tell them? Tell them. Say, can you give kisses? Give kisses. Can you give kisses? Can you give kisses? And Cindy's over there. Say hi. So we are working on our first garden at our new home, And like I said, most of it is apples. So I'm not really going to get anything out of them because, you know, apple trees take a while to grow. But I just thought I'd play around with seeds. And so what I was doing was I'm using seeds out of apples that I got for free at the food bank. So this is a full circle. I got the apples for free from the food bank. I ate the apples. I make desserts and juice and applesauce and all sorts of snacks and treats out of the apples. I will boil up, if you watch my video, I boil up the peels and cores with cinnamon and spices for apple cider. So I try to find ways to reduce the waste. And then I compost what's left. And the compost, I'm learning from, I can't think of her channel name offhand. Robbie. Gardening with Robbie or something. She's quite dynamic and she has a great garden, and she said you don't have to go through all the trouble of like composting, waiting for the just throw you can literally, she grows plants from her kitchen scraps. She just throws the kitchen scraps in there and some soil, a little bit of dirt, soil mix, and lets whatever comes up come up. So those might have started out as apple seeds, seedlings, but they may come up with other things coming up with the apples. So I'll be checking them and I'll separate things out as they come up. And bigger things will then go into the ground. I have another garden area that I'm going to use once things are big enough to survive in the ground. But in the meantime, they'll be up on that shelf. Then they may sit down on the dirt after that. I'm going to try to collect something else that I can raise them up on. I'm not sure what that's going to be, but I'll figure something out because I always do. So, and eventually the compost bin, since I learned that I don't have to spend, weeks and months waiting for the compost, I'm going to turn the whole compost bin into a garden itself. So we'll have to watch and see me do that, because that's what Robbie does. Is she makes container gardens. She calls them chair gardens. She uses old plastic chairs, rescues them, rescues old plastic bins, and she gardens right out of those. A lot of her stuff. She has other gardens too, but she gardens in so many different ways, and I've learned so much. So I will be sharing with you what I have learned and see how it works for me. And hopefully you get some inspiration out of it to experiment with it yourself. So stay tuned.